Imagine the blazing Texas sun, dust swirling across open plains, the sound of hooves in the distance, and a land balanced on the edge of revolution. This is not just a regional uprising, this is the Texas War of Independence, a conflict that unfolded in barely 7 months, yet permanently changed the fate of North America. In the early 1800s, Texas was a remote northern province of Mexico. It was vast, underpopulated, and difficult to control. To strengthen the region, the Mexican government allowed impresarios, land agents like Stephen F. Austin, to bring settlers from the United States. Thousands of Americans moved in, receiving cheap land in exchange for loyalty to Mexico. Officially, they agreed to become Mexican citizens, convert to Catholicism, and follow Mexican law. In reality, many maintained their American identity, language, and customs. For several years, the arrangement worked, but tensions slowly grew. The number of American settlers far exceeded the number of Mexican residents. Slavery, which Mexico opposed and eventually banned, remained central to many settlers' agricultural economy. Mexico also became concerned about U.S. influence and restricted further American immigration into Texas in 1830. Smuggling increased. Political mistrust deepened. Small disputes turned into open resentment. Then came the political shift in Mexico. In 1833 to 1835, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna rose to power. Initially seen as a Federalist hero, he soon reversed course. He dissolved the Mexican Congress, repealed the Constitution of 1824, and centralized authority under his control. States that resisted were crushed militarily. When Texas petitioned for greater autonomy or even separate statehood within Mexico, Santa Anna responded with force. Open rebellion erupted in October 1835 at Gonzales. Mexican troops were sent to retrieve a small cannon previously lent to the settlers. Instead of surrendering it, the Texans raised a homemade flag reading "Come and take it," and fired the first shots. Though the skirmish was minor, it ignited the revolution. In the following weeks, Texan forces gained momentum. They captured the town of Goliad and pushed Mexican troops out of San Antonio de Bexar in December 1835 after a difficult siege. It seemed like the rebellion was succeeding quickly, but Santa Anna was already marching north with a large and determined army. In February 1836, Santa Anna crossed the Rio Grande with thousands of soldiers and moved rapidly toward San Antonio. A small Texan force decided to hold the Alamo mission rather than retreat. It was a risky and ultimately fatal decision. For 13 days, the defenders endured bombardment and isolation. Inside were around 180 to 200 men, including frontiersman Davy Crockett and leaders Jim Bowie and William Travis. On March 6th, before dawn, Mexican troops launched a full assault. After intense close-quarters fighting, every Texan defender was killed. Santa Anna spared no one. The fall of the Alamo sent shockwaves through Texas. Just weeks later, another disaster struck. Colonel James Fannin and his men surrendered near Goliad after being surrounded. They believed they would be treated as prisoners of war. Instead, under Santa Anna's orders, over 300 Texan captives were executed. News of the Goliad Massacre spread rapidly, spreading fear but also hardening resolve. Meanwhile, Sam Houston, commander of the Texan army, was retreating eastward. Many criticized him, believing he was running from the enemy. In reality, he was buying time, training his forces, waiting for the right opportunity. Civilians fled in panic in what became known as the Runaway Scrape, abandoning homes as Mexican troops advanced. By April 1836, Santa Anna divided his forces, confident that the rebellion was nearly crushed. That decision would prove fatal. On April 21st, near the San Jacinto River, Houston saw his chance. The Mexican army was resting, unprepared for attack. In the late afternoon, Texan forces launched a surprise assault, shouting, "Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad." They overwhelmed the camp. The battle lasted about 18 minutes, but the slaughter continued longer. Hundreds of Mexican soldiers were killed. Many more were captured. Texan casualties were minimal. The next day, Santa Anna was found hiding in the tall grass, disguised as an ordinary soldier. Recognized and captured, he was brought before Houston. Facing execution, he agreed to sign the treaties of Velasco, effectively recognizing Texas as an independent republic in exchange for his life. In March 1836, even before San Jacinto, Texan leaders had formally declared independence, creating the Republic of Texas. Now, with victory secured, it became reality. Sam Houston was elected president. The new republic faced financial struggles, border disputes, and the constant threat of Mexican retaliation. but it survived. For 9 years, Texas existed as its own nation. Then, in 1845, it joined the United States, triggering tensions that erupted into the Mexican-American War. That war would dramatically expand U.S. territory and reshape the continent. The Texas War of Independence was not a long war. It was fast, brutal, and decisive. It showed how political centralization can spark rebellion, how symbolic defeats like the Alamo can inspire victory, and how one bold military strike can redefine history. What began with a small cannon in Gonzales ended with a new nation born on the battlefield of San Jacinto. And the echoes of "Remember the Alamo" still resonate in American memory today.